Alright, I wanted to go over a couple of games I played on my ranked climb, just because, I don't know, I had fun with them. I think these are a couple mirror matches and one against Lunalight. We're gonna start, my opponent blind seconds. We open Cyanos, Drones, Droplet, Final Bringer, and Blackout. It's a very good hand going first. Especially when you're opening with Cyanos, it's really nice to have Droplet and Final Bringer in case your opponent maxes. Because that just means they maxi to get a draw, and then I would still have like 3 interruptions with 1 draw, which I think is solid. A negate and a pop, guaranteed follow-up. Not only in drones, but also with the Cyanos and Rose Engrave. It's not bad. And otherwise, with Camellia, you just get to dump. So we're just doing, like, normal stuff right now. We're using Hornet drones, by which, to make, 0, just because I want to put Spells Engrave. And I already have the follow-up with Cyanos Engrave anyways. So we grab and engage from the deck. I'm doing that so I have 3 Spells Engrave. And then, obviously, I'm setting my whole hand. It's at 5 fast. Pretty good. So this is an opponent. They're also playing Striker. They start with Upstart Goblin. So I do something that's a little weird here. But I would like to explain myself. So they're activating the Blackout last. And basically, what I'm thinking is 0 offers a ton of board breaking potential into this board that I can't do anything about. And because of the cards I have, what I'm basically thinking is if they have a trigger, they'll need 2 quick plays in hand in order to activatable quick plays in hand in order to keep this linkage live. So if they drew 2 linkage, I get punished for this. But the idea is I'll punish the card they would send for linkage, and I basically have them go -1 on linkage and not be able to summon the 0. It's unlikely that they draw to linkage. And in general, I think the quick plays are fairly answerable. So that's basically my thought process there, is they likely have, like, draw 1 cards and stuff, and they probably only have linkage, and other stuff activatable needs me to have, like, it'd be like a Widow Anchor Droplet or something. So when I activate 0, they won't be able to activate it. So I'm thinking it's pretty safe to go for this play, where it'll force out linkage if they have it. If they don't have it, they just can't make 0 here. If they do have it, chaining 0 to it makes it very likely that they won't be able to get the second quick play in rotation. To put another spell on board for linkage to actually get this end. When they're playing 3 copies of it going second in the opening hand, I think it's like a 5.5% chance that they have 2 linkage. And 2 linkage does punish me very hard here, to be clear. But I think it's just generally, I think this is a very powerful play to make here in this situation. Call by the Grave would also be devastatingly bad, but that also turns off their own 0, which is, I think, the only way I die here. So they don't have a response, so we do get to push the upstart. Now, they do have Thrust. I don't think Thrust is a problem. This is something that comes up in this deck a lot. There are a bunch of cards in the game now that just have it where, this is part of the importance of the turn 1 setup, by the way, that it's important if you have monsters on the field, and being able to misclicked your own cards is actually pretty big for that. So they're thrusting, and I don't want them to get engaged. If they get engaged here, they're gonna just plus really hard in a way I couldn't on turn 1, just due to the nature of Striker. Going first, you tend to not, unless you have like an insane hand, you tend to not plus as hard as you do when you go second. That's why this deck likes going second. It's easier to put spells in graveyard because most of your spells interact with your opponent's cards, so it's hard to put them in on turn 1 unless you're playing the draw 1 cards. And I'm trying not to play into Duel with this deck in general, if I can avoid it. So I bounce my own cards to hand, so now they have to set. They set Karma Cannon, and Karma Cannon is whatever. They actually already did have Engage. Not too surprising, but very unfortunate for me, obviously. But they're locked out of 0, so they can only loop Engage one time, which is pretty important here. And they can't use 0 to, like, interact with my field. I also know that they are very unlikely to have second linkage, because they would have used it earlier. They would have had to have drawn into it in 2 cards we don't know. Would have been a good idea for them to grab it, though. However, I do have an answer for them doing that. So I activate Widow Anchor here. I honestly, legitimately might have forgotten about something important here, but that's fine. Now, for here, Talents is already on. I actually activate Rose's in-hand effect to special summon herself when a Sky Striker Ace monster is special summoned. Notice that it does not say to your field. So I actually get to activate Rose to summon her here, which I do to turn on Final Bringer of the End Times, and get rid of an opponent's interruption. And I have, like, just a really nice way to negate Shizuku. Because I think the end-phase Shizuku search is a little good, and my current... I think I currently am, like, in a winning position if I start playing. So I'm going Hayate first to get Engage access, if I can. They don't let me do that. They Widow Anchor Steel. That's not an issue. We have Cyanos and Grave. So I special summon the Rose, and they do something I was very surprised by, which is a Karma Cannon. I don't, like, super hate it. In this position, I would grab Widow Anchor and then get engaged during the end phase. Or, honestly, like, I don't know. Like, long term, that sets me up pretty well. But I feel like they have 2 cards in hand, and they'd rather keep their own monsters because they're not going to trigger their own monsters. But so I just have a set Rose. It's going to be very difficult for them to kill me through set monster. I have 8,000 life points. We once again are going 0 is like the way I lose this game, in my opinion. So I keep them off of 0's effect. And as we can see, they choose not to go for it. And we do know that there is a set Widow Anchor. I draw Jamming Waves, which is crazy good here. So we get rid of their Widow Anchor. I'm going to grab my own Widow Anchor, because obviously that outs their Kagari without triggering Ray, which is very powerful. And then I stole their monster. I have 2 aces, so I can go into 0. And then obviously we just grab Engage and set up for Widow Anchor. Drawing Shark Cannon is super good here. I'm only playing 1 Lemnis Gate, so being able to use their Striker monsters in Grave is pretty good. And yeah, they do have a Kagari in here. But even if it was just like a Shizuku Steel, that still would have been good. And if I recall here, I think they surrender. Yeah. Really like the Sky Striker mirror. I don't know, just feels pretty good. This is Lunalight, and the purpose of this is I'm assuming my opponent misplayed. Because they only end on 1 of the Liger Dancer. Spoilers, I guess. And I'm not super familiar with the deck, so I don't know if my opponent was bad or if they had a bad hand, because usually they end on 2. So there's that. But this is more that, at least as far as I can tell, definitely against bad players, the needing to out A towers is not an instant loss. It is very specific, though. In retrospect, I think I didn't play this game super optimally, but I was too busy counting spells in Grave, because I I just wanted to get to like a good winning position. So just doing the turn 1 combo. Importantly, we want to remember Silverhound is a negate in graveyard. But they make the 1 LIGO Dancer, and then they're going to have IP plus a second name, and then they have the continuous in hand, which should represent follow-up. I believe when you Foolish Silverhound, it special summons from deck. You can get Gold Leo or something. So here, I just immediately Super Poly, and then normal summon Cyanos. This isn't really threatening anything in particular. There's no real reason for them to LIGO Dancer this board. Them doing that is nice, but not mandatory. I do Called by Silverhound. Technically, I think they should have negated that with Silverhound, but they didn't. Probably because they want to keep Leo Dancer in grave for a follow-up LIGO Dancer, I assume. I have no idea. I used Droplet to get Cyanos on the field. I'm not playing Clockwork Knight in the extra, but I think you could make room for it by like cutting Azalea Temperance or Engage 0. I don't like cutting Engage 0 for something else. Honestly, SP Little Knight's cuttable too. But regardless, I'm just sort of setting up for the long game here. My goal is to get exactly 13 spells in grave at minimum, and linkage in hand with a Light and Dark Sky Striker Ace in grave. That's all I care about, because that, in addition to either baiting LIGO Dancer's ability, or I drew Blackout here, which is really freaking good. I should have searched this one from deck, because I need the turbo spells in the grave. I think I shouldn't have been concerned about being, like, resource efficient. I should just be concerned about getting spells in grave. I think grabbing this from grave was incorrect here, even though normally it's worth the value. I don't think the value matters. I think all that matters is getting myself to a position where I have enough spells in graveyard to beat this, especially now that I've drawn the Blackout Laughs. So I can make it so they can't activate. Putting Blackout in grave is just, like, super free, so might as well. I set up for multi-roll, because I basically, I have one goal here, which is survive. So they're going to make me very sad. I think about the summon from hand, and then I realize that this is like going to be like one of the hardest pushes they can make, because it's 6,800 attack, and making sure I take no damage this turn is actually pretty big, in my opinion, which is why I decided to go with that play. I activate Widow Anchor to just get guaranteed follow-up. They couldn't Silverhound, because we made sure they didn't have that play available to them last turn. And we're just sort of setting up, getting through spells. I was kind of low on time because I was thinking about how I can out it in the game in real time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is going to send 10. And then we have access to 11, 12. I grab Linus Gate just in the end phase. This doesn't put spells in grave, unfortunately. Also, importantly, I'm only on 1-0 for budget reasons, essentially. And that's kind of biting me in the butt here. But c'est la vie, that's what I get. I call LIGO Dancer. Pretending I don't have an answer to Gold Leo. But I do. So I don't actually care that they negate the Blackout, which is the second Silverhound out of the way. And then here, we're just not dying. We drew Ray, fortunately, so we don't even have to, like, waste spells in grave in order to live, so I don't set anything with the multi-roll, because there's no need to. And then this turn, I do my counting. I determine I have what I need in grave, and I send everything to the graveyard. I should have, honestly, sent multi-roll to grave, and then grabbed something from grave, I think, but it's whatever. I don't think it matters that much. Zero gets ashed, which is frankly unfortunate for me, but that means they have no cards in hand, so it's not actually that bad. We have Ray and Grave. We have like a couple of names. That's not a big deal. So here we're gonna pop Tiger, so they don't have it in rotation. It still does get to special summon. I'm honestly not sure if this is correct, what I did here. Okay. Also, the activating Limniscate and Grave was not intentional. That was a misclick. I want to be clear. That was incorrect. But I changed their effect using Amatsu. The other thing with Amatsu is if they go to attack over it, it can pop a Sky Striker Ace name and one card they control. So I could have got, like, they can't just beat it in battle. Which is why I went for that line. I go Zalia, and basically the whole plan here is I'm just gonna slowly start winning the game now. I'm, like, out of striker names, notably. Feels bad. But I'm just, like, pushing for game as fast as possible, which is in 3 turns. So I'm just making Engage 0 because it's the name I can summon off of Linkage, and I'm out of Limniscate, and I'm just going to have to, like, awkwardly grind this game out here. They do fortunately surrender. Technically, set pass would have kept the game going for a bit, but I think they just don't have any gas. Banishing that Limniscate was very stupid and very bad. Because otherwise I would have had another rotation of, like, Kagari's, just by setting it off of multi-roll. Kagari's and 0. Yeah. Didn't turn out to matter, but don't activate Limniscate in this game. I think playing 2 Limniscate is probably correct, but I think 1 is fine. I think you should be playing 2-0. Playing 1-0 like this is just a little actually constraining. This is another mirror match. They choose to go first in this one. They open 2 rows, which kind of sucks, but does give them a Camellia line. I do not hate what they do going first here. They're gonna get access to the Engage, of course. Gonna go Linkage so they can get 0, so they can have 3 spells in Grave. Just a solid turn 1 setup. So they have 2 cards in hand here. Now, notably, if you haven't played against a striker deck, this hand I have here doesn't look like it really makes them do anything. However, it actually kind of does. I activate Afterburners here, and this is always going to let them know that I have... Like, I'm always trying to turn on talents here, right? And that's just, like, inevitably what's going to happen. They don't have too much of a choice in that matter. They have to activate 0 here, or they don't have guaranteed follow-up. Unless these cards in hand, one of these cards is like Ray. But if it was Ray, I think they'd normal summon Ray and put a Ray in graveyard. Like, if they had Ray, Rose, then you'd normal summon a Ray first, I think. Because Ray in graveyard is just, like, a powerful card to have access to. So we Afterburner, so for follow-up, they have to use the effect of 0. And then they pop their own Rose, which is very correct, by the way. So I set Super Poly here. Now, I set Super Poly here for a very important reason, which is I want to play around them having Maxi in hand. So if they have, like, Maxi and, like, I don't know, Veiler or something, I want to be able to go talents, look at hand, and then chain linkage if they activate Maxi. So, let us take a look at their hand. We know there's a Widow Anchor set, which they have access to, and there's one unknown set, and they have 2 cards in hand. So we look at their hand, and they have Maxi Troll. This sucks. That's very bad for me. However, knowing they have Droll is pretty powerful information to have. So I take away the maxi because I want to be doing plays, and playing in the back row is something that striker can generally do pretty well. They do something I like here, which is they're going into the link one, and they're doing this so that they can interact favorably with my 0. So when my 0 activates effect, they want to be able to negate it with this. However, unfortunately for them, I did draw a Widow Anchor. I don't hate the line they went for. Unfortunately, there was just not going to be like a great thing for them to do. Honestly, from their position, I would have. I don't hate this. I think the idea makes sense. They kind of are just hoping I don't have negation. And you're just more likely to have it than not. I think like 35% of the time. Because most striker players are going to play 3 droplet, 3 Widow Anchor, right? Like, so most of the time in my position, the striker player is going to have a piece of negation for this or Kagari. And I think Amatsu is a bit more situational. Unless you're just using it to make Azalea. So, I kind of like what they did. Because if they're assuming I'm good, I'm not going to activate 0 when it summons. Unless I have, like, linkage to dodge a Widow Anchor or something. So I'm stealing it here. We can avoid triggering their Ray. And then, speaking of Azalea, I can make my own Azalea here to force out the Widow Anchor. I was hoping to hit not Imperm, but, you know, it's a 50-50, and I lost it. No big deal. We get to go for Hayate here. Hayate is going to send the engage. We can get the engage. Now, my opponent's very unlikely to droll, because they'll know I already used 0, and at this point, I've resolved engage already. So, unless I get unlucky and I get, like, a second engage, like, I would need to be a little bit lucky in order to get access to another engage. Alternatively, if I do get access to another engage, they could, like, most of the time, I'd be more likely to have gotten it off of, thrust rather than hard draw it. So, I actually kind of like them not drawing here. And then in phase, we're going to search, multi-roll, because I think it makes my follow-up, like, just extra good. So right now, they have Droll and an Unknown. So they draw the second best card in their deck. If they drew the last engage, that would have been the best. But they're going to get to keep playing. So they search Ray. I could have waited to activate the Slimness Gate, but I just activate the Slimness Gate right away because I don't think there's a huge reason to hold off. And I do that to bounce. Now we have 2 Widow Anchor. They're obviously going to do the play I just did, where you use 0 to, like, interact with the back row. I have 2 Widow Anchor, so they can't win a 50-50 here. And all I really care about is them not plussing too crazy hard. So I'm just here to negate the Kagari, which is, like, just the thing to do against Striker. And then they're going to go back. They're going to Zeke. So they're Zeking because they want to clog my main monster zones for a follow-up turn, which I don't hate. And then they're going to go Shizuku. The Shizuku search just doesn't matter, because I'm set up to, like, I'm just, like, my setup's really strong here, quite frankly. So I'm going to summon Cyanos here, and then guess who has Azalea Temperance in the deck? That's me! So I get to equip it. Now, Ray only triggers when the ace leaves the field. Guess what Shizuku is not doing? Leaving the field. So at this point, this is just game. And they know it, so they surrender. They can Droll there, but Droll doesn't do anything. Because I did just have lethal. Because it's 2,000 from 0, 25 plus Spells Engrave from Kagari, and then another 25. So yeah. So they had Duel, but the Duel didn't even matter. I think if they had actually shotgunned Maxi, I would have been in a much more rough position than I ended up being in. But yeah. I like playing this deck. I think it's a lot of fun. These were a couple games I had fun with. I think you should try Sky Striker and have fun with it. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now and go. Bye.